Joining us now on Morning Joe, Democratic presidential candidate Julian Castro. Mr. Mayor, good to have you with us. Thanks for being here.
To be with you.
We were joking that a couple of weeks ago you were sitting in that seat sort of smugly grinning at us when we asked you whether or not you were going to run because you couldn't say. So now you're in. Congratulations. Welcome to the race.
Much.
So now let me ask you the question we've been asking people who've been coming on the show since they've announced, the Roger Mudd question. What's your best answer for why you want to be president of the United States?
I want to be president because I believe that we need new leadership and new energy, and because I have a very strong vision for our country's future. I announced on Saturday, and what I laid out then was that we need to be the smartest, the healthiest, the fairest, and the most prosperous nation on earth in the 21st century. I have executive experience in getting things done as a mayor, as a cabinet secretary, and I think that that's what people are looking for these days, somebody that can get things done.
So here's the book on you. Great resume, super smart guy, a lot of experience, dedicated public servant, good guy.
Wait, just stop right there. That's all great.
Here comes the comma.
Yeah.
But maybe too nice of a guy to fight Donald Trump over the course of a 2-year presidential election. How would you approach Donald Trump? How would you get in his face if you believe that's the right approach?
Yeah, and I may have said this last time I was here. Like, I'm convinced that we're not going to beat Donald Trump by trying to be Donald Trump. All of us who I think are running can stand up to Donald Trump, but you're never going to out-gutter Donald Trump. And so I can tell folks right now that what I want to do is I want to give people something to believe in. I've always believed that if you're going to run for office, you need to tell people if they elect you what you're going to do for them and for their family. And I'll stand up to Donald Trump, and of course I'm going to point out where I think he's fallen short. But I'm not going to try to out-gutter Donald Trump. And I don't think that that's what the American people want, either in a presidential candidate or, more importantly, in a president.
And some of the other candidates, at least, like Marco Rubio, learned that lesson in the 2016 campaign. Playing Trump's game with him doesn't work.
Yes, and you've got to be yourself at the end of the day. Since this is so early, we have a bit of a luxury of getting to go a little more big picture. So I would love to hear you talk about your foreign policy philosophy and how you view America's role in the world. And specifically, what would be your approach to Syria, to Russia, troops in Afghanistan?
Well, I think, especially in the post-World War II era, the United States has struck alliances that have helped keep our nation safer over the generations. And the number one thing that I would do, the first thing I would do, is to repair those alliances, whether it's with NATO or it's with some of our allies that Donald Trump has kept in the dark, has insulted. We live in a world in which the United States, I think, has a role to play, should continue to play a role in making sure that things like democracy and opportunity and freedom are expanded around the world.
So democracy promotion would be at the forefront of your agenda as president?
Well, I think it's fair to say that that's part of it, sure, because we have actors in the world that want to take us in the opposite direction. And the United States should play a leading role in championing the values that have made our nation the greatest nation on earth. Sure.
All right, I have two questions. The first is just the simple yes or no. Based on last night's report about the president instructing his lawyer to lie to Congress, do you believe Congress should begin articles of impeachment against the president?
I believe that they should wait for the hearings and probably the Mueller report.
Before beginning, okay.
Yeah.
Second question is, there's this debate on the left happening right now about how to judge the Obama presidency holistically. And I'm curious, as someone who served in the cabinet, but also as a Democrat and observer of politics, what things do you think Obama did right, but also, more importantly, what things would you do differently?
Well, I think that President Obama did a lot right. His signature issue was health care, the Affordable Care Act. I mean, 20 million more people were able to get health care because of the president's leadership, and 7 presidents before him had tried to get that done, and they didn't. When he took office, we were losing more than 700,000 jobs every month. And by the time he left office, we had the longest streak of positive job growth that we'd ever seen. So I think he did a lot right. Obviously, you take an issue like immigration. I think it's fair to say that the administration got better and better about that. Eventually, they did DACA and they did DAPA.
Sure. But the early deportations you had problems with?
I said that at the time in 2014, yeah. And so, of course, there are things that any of us might do differently. But overall, that was a very successful administration, and that's why, as you see, just recently, people say that he was the best president of their lifetime. So I don't think that we need to walk away in any way from the great things that President Obama did for this country.
Mr. Mayor, let me give you a title. You are now the czar of solving the shutdown. You have the complete ability to be King Solomon, and I'm not going to give you the option of an answer to say, well, everybody's got to get together and they have to budget. Simple solution, for instance, we'll give Trump another $1 billion, so it's $2.5 billion. He could say he's building part of the wall, and he makes a move on the Dreamers for us. Give me a very specific, you have complete carte blanche, you solve the problem. How do you solve it?
The Democrats and the Republicans in the House and the Senate passed identical legislation to get past this shutdown.
Okay, but we're past
address
that. But you can't just give the political answers. You now have to get us out of this. You can't go back to that. That's not happening. So give me a specific thing, knowing that we got to give Trump a little something. As painful as that is, it's not going to get done, and we take something. What's the deal?
Well, first of all, Danny, back up. If I were president, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Okay.
All right? We'll start with that.
Start with that. We got to start talking about answers. We know the problem.
To answer your question, the Democrats have said that they're willing to give on border security, and I think that they should tell the president, look, what else is on your plate? They will invest in technology, they will invest in personnel, but they're not going to invest in a concrete wall, and I believe that they should stick to that.
All right, 2020 presidential candidate Julian Castro. We'll be talking to you a lot more, I suspect, over the next year and a half or so. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Still ahead on Morning Joe, the new Congress was sworn in 2 weeks ago, and since that time, Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill says she has voted 8 times in favor of reopening the government. The former Navy helicopter pilot joins us next on Morning Joe.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.